Lord, this day is yours before I even open my eyes to see it, and if you are for me, nothing that rises against me today can stand. Somewhere right now, someone is waking up carrying a weight they didn't ask for, a worry that followed them into sleep and was still waiting when they opened their eyes. A fear whispering that today will look just like yesterday, and yesterday was hard. If that is you, hear this before anything else is said. God has not forgotten you. He is not distant. He is not watching from far away, indifferent to what you carry. He is near, and He is already moving on your behalf, preparing doors you have not yet seen and closing doors that were never meant for you. This morning is not ordinary. It is not simply another square on the calendar, another repetition of the same routine. This morning is an appointment with the living God, a sacred moment where heaven leans close to earth and says, I have plans for you, and they are good. Before the demands of the day pull at your attention, before the phone begins buzzing with messages and the tasks begin stacking one on top of another, there is space, right here, right now, to receive strength that the world cannot give and cannot take away. If these words are stirring something in you, take a moment now to press like on this message, and if you have not yet joined this family of believers, subscribe, so that tomorrow morning, and every morning after, you will have this same anchor waiting for you. This is not about numbers or attention. It is about building a community of people who refuse to face their days without first kneeling before the one who holds all their days in His hands. Today we are going to pray together for protection, for favor, and for breakthrough. These are not small requests. These are declarations that shift the atmosphere over your life. Protection, because the enemy of your soul does not want you to walk boldly into what God has prepared, and there are unseen battles fought and won long before you ever notice the outcome. Favor, because there are rooms you will walk into today where you did nothing to earn the welcome you receive, yet doors will open simply because the hand of God is upon you. And breakthrough, because there is something you have been waiting for, something you have prayed about more times than you can count, and today may be the day the waiting ends and the answer finally arrives. Scripture tells us that His mercies are new every morning, that His faithfulness is great, that we do not have to earn a fresh start because He gives it freely, again and again, without condition. So take a breath. Let your shoulders drop. Whatever weighed on you yesterday does not have authority over today. Whatever mistake you made, whatever door closed, whatever person disappointed you, none of it defines what God is doing in this new day. Before we go further, I want you to comment below the words, I am ready, so that this space becomes a gathering of people declaring together that they are ready to receive what God has for them today. Let your faith be seen. Let it be spoken. There is power when believers agree together, even across the distance of a screen, even never having met face to face. Stay with me through this prayer, because what is coming next is not just encouragement, it is a covering. It is a declaration over your health, your family, your work, your finances, your peace of mind, and your future. Do not rush past this moment. Do not scroll away, distracted. Give God these next few minutes, fully, and watch what He does with the rest of your day. To understand why this morning matters so deeply, we have to look at what Scripture says about the nature of protection, favor, and breakthrough, because these are not modern ideas invented to make us feel better. They are ancient promises woven through the entire story of God and His people, repeated again and again, because human hearts have always needed the same reminder in every generation. You are not walking through this life unguarded, unnoticed, or unloved. Consider the words spoken through the psalmist, who wrote that he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Notice the language. It is not a suggestion that protection is available if you find it yourself, search hard enough, or earn it through good behavior. It is a dwelling place. It is a shelter that already exists, built by God, and available to anyone willing to enter into it through faith and trust. The Hebrew mind understood protection not as a shield you carry, but as a house you live inside. When trouble comes, and it will come, the question is not whether you have built enough strength on your own, but whether you have made your home in the presence of God. Think of the story of Daniel. thrown into a den of lions not because he sinned, but because he refused to stop praying. Imagine the terror of that night, the roars echoing off stone walls, the absolute darkness, the complete powerlessness of a man surrounded by predators. And yet Scripture tells us the lions' mouths were shut, not because Daniel found a clever way to defend himself, not because he was physically strong enough to fight them off, but because there was a divine intervention that no natural explanation could account for. This is what protection looks like when it comes from heaven rather than from human effort. It closes mouths. It changes outcomes. It rewrites what should have happened based on natural law. Favor works in a similar and yet distinct way. Favor is not protection from danger. It is elevation into blessing you did not construct for yourself. Look at the story of Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, imprisoned for years for a crime he never committed. By every human measure, Joseph's life should have ended in bitterness and obscurity. And yet Scripture records that the Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man, and whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. Even in prison, favor found him. The jailer put him in charge of everything. This is the nature of divine favor. It does not wait for perfect circumstances. It moves through prison walls, through betrayal, through years of apparent silence, until one day, Joseph stands before Pharaoh, elevated from a dungeon to the second most powerful position in Egypt, in what seemed to everyone around him like a single, unexplainable moment. And then there is breakthrough, perhaps the most personal of these three promises, because breakthrough always follows a season of waiting. Consider the woman who suffered from bleeding for 12 years, who spent everything she had on physicians, who grew worse rather than better despite every effort. 12 years is not a short trial. 12 years is thousands of mornings of waking up still sick, still hoping, still believing despite mounting evidence that nothing would change. And yet she reached out in faith, touched the hem of a garment, and in a single moment, everything shifted. Scripture says immediately her bleeding stopped. Immediately, after 12 years of nothing, breakthrough arrived in an instant. Why does the world today so often overlook these truths, treating morning prayer as optional, treating spiritual discipline as something reserved for the extremely devout, rather than something available and necessary for every believer? Part of the answer lies in how modern life is structured. Mornings today are engineered for speed rather than stillness. Alarms go off and hands reach immediately for phones. Notifications arrive before eyes have fully adjusted to daylight. The rhythm of contemporary life pulls a person straight from sleep into demand, without pause, without reflection, without any space carved out for the soul to catch up with the body. In this environment, prayer feels like an interruption rather than a foundation, something to be squeezed in if time allows, rather than the thing that determines whether the rest of the day holds together. There is also a deeper misunderstanding at work, one that has crept into modern faith almost unnoticed. The idea that protection, favor, and breakthrough are things to be earned through performance, through being good enough, disciplined enough, deserving enough. But this contradicts the very heart of Scripture. Grace, by definition, cannot be earned. If it could be earned, it would not be grace, it would be wages. The believer who wakes up burdened by the belief that yesterday's failures disqualify them from today's blessings has misunderstood the nature of God entirely. His mercies are new every morning specifically because they do not depend on what you accumulated the day before. They depend on His unchanging character, not your inconsistent performance. This is why the discipline of morning prayer is not about ritual for its own sake. It is about realignment. It is the daily act of stepping back into the truth of who God is and who you are in relation to Him, before the noise of the day tries to convince you otherwise. Without this realignment, it becomes far too easy to drift through an entire day, operating from fear instead of faith, from self-reliance instead of surrender, from anxiety instead of the peace that Scripture promises, surpasses all understanding. Prophets throughout the Old Testament rose early to seek the Lord before addressing the nations, before delivering difficult messages, before confronting kings. Jesus Himself, in the middle of an overwhelming ministry filled with crowds, physical demands, and constant need, rose while it was still dark to go to a solitary place and pray. If the Son of God, fully divine and fully aware of his purpose, still needed those early hours of communion with the Father before facing the day, how much more do we, in our weakness and uncertainty, need that same rhythm? This is the foundation we build on this morning. Not empty ritual, but a return to a truth that has anchored believers for thousands of years. That protection is not something you fight for alone. That favor is not something you manufacture through striving. And that breakthrough is not delayed forever, no matter how long the waiting has felt. Now that we understand the scriptural foundation, let us walk together through 5 foundational principles that will shape how you carry protection, favor, and breakthrough into every hour of this day. The first principle is this: God's protection is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of God within trouble. So many believers misunderstand protection as a guarantee that nothing difficult will ever happen. But Scripture never promises a life free of storms. It promises a presence that walks through the storm with you. Remember the account of the disciples, caught in a violent storm on the sea, waves crashing over the boat, wind howling with terrifying force, and Jesus asleep in the stern. When they woke him in panic, he did not first calm the storm. He first addressed their fear, asking why they had so little faith. Then he spoke to the wind and the waves, and there was a great calm. The lesson here is profound. The storm was real, the danger was real, but the presence of Jesus in the boat meant the outcome was never truly in question. This is your protection today. Not a life without waves, but a guarantee that you are never facing them alone. The second principle is that favor often arrives disguised as delay. Joseph's favor did not arrive the day he was sold into slavery. It did not arrive the day he was falsely accused. It arrived years later, after seasons that felt, by every human measure, like abandonment. If you are in a season that feels like delay right now, understand that delay in the hands of God is never the same as denial. What feels like silence may actually be preparation, positioning you for a level of favor you are not yet equipped to carry. The third principle is that breakthrough requires reaching, not just waiting. The woman who had suffered for 12 years did not receive healing while sitting passively. She reached through a crowd, pushed past obstacles, and touched the hem of a garment in an act of active faith. Breakthrough this morning may require you to reach as well, to take a step, to make a call, to have a conversation, to release something you have held onto too tightly. Faith is rarely passive. It moves toward the promise even when the outcome is not yet visible. The fourth principle is that spiritual battles are often won in the unseen realm before they manifest in the visible one. Daniel prayed for 21 days before an answer came, and later learned that a heavenly messenger had been dispatched immediately, but delayed by unseen resistance along the way. This teaches us that when an answer feels slow, it does not mean heaven is inactive. It may mean there is a battle being fought on your behalf in a realm you cannot see, and your continued faith and prayer are part of what sustains that battle until victory is secured. The fifth principle is that today's mercy is sufficient for today's need, and worrying about tomorrow only steals strength meant for the present moment. Jesus taught his followers not to worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself, and each day has enough trouble of its own. This is not a dismissal of planning or wisdom, but a release from the anxious habit of trying to carry every future burden in the present moment, when God has only promised grace sufficient for today. As we hold these 5 principles together, ask yourself honestly this morning which one speaks most directly to what you are facing. Is it the reminder that protection means presence, not the absence of storms? Is it the truth that delay is not denial? Is it the call to reach rather than simply wait? Is it the comfort that unseen battles are being fought on your behalf? Or is it the freedom of releasing tomorrow's worry and receiving only today's sufficient grace? Whichever one resonates, sit with it for a moment, because that is likely the exact word you needed to hear this morning. If your heart has been stirred by even one of these truths, take a moment to like this message so that others searching for the same encouragement can find it more easily. And if you have not yet subscribed, do so now, so that tomorrow's word will already be waiting for you when you wake. Let us go deeper still, uncovering 10 hidden truths from Scripture that most believers walk past without ever fully grasping their weight. Truths that, once understood, change the way you carry protection, favor, and breakthrough for the rest of your life. The first hidden truth is that protection in Scripture is frequently described using architectural language, not military language. God is called a rock, a fortress, a high tower, a shield. These are not aggressive images of fighting back. They are images of stability, of a structure that does not move regardless of what happens around it. This tells us something important, that your posture in seeking protection is not to become more combative, but to become more rooted, anchored in a place that cannot be shaken by circumstances. The second hidden truth is that favor in the Bible is often connected to hidden faithfulness rather than public performance. Consider the story of Ruth, a foreign widow gleaning quietly in fields, showing loyalty to her mother-in-law when no one was watching, when there was nothing to gain from the sacrifice she was making. It was this hidden faithfulness that caught the attention of Boaz and eventually positioned her within the lineage of King David himself. Favor often finds you in the quiet, unnoticed places long before it ever finds you in public. The third hidden truth is that breakthrough is frequently preceded by a season that looks like the opposite of breakthrough. Before the walls of Jericho fell, the Israelites marched silently around the city for 6 days, seeing no result, no crack, no sign of progress. It was not until the 7th day, after obedience that appeared entirely fruitless for 6 full days, that the walls collapsed. If your breakthrough feels delayed, understand that many biblical breakthroughs were preceded by seasons that looked exactly like failure until the very last moment. The fourth hidden truth is that God often uses ordinary, unimpressive tools to deliver extraordinary victories. David defeated Goliath with a sling and a stone, not with armor or a sword. Gideon defeated an army of thousands with torches, jars, and trumpets, not conventional weapons. This teaches us that what feels inadequate in your hands right now, whatever small step or humble resource you currently possess, may be exactly what God intends to use for your breakthrough. The fifth hidden truth is that spiritual protection often begins with what you allow into your mind, not just what happens around your body. Scripture instructs believers to take every thought captive, recognizing that the battlefield for peace and safety often begins internally, in the thoughts we entertain, long before it manifests externally. The sixth hidden truth is that favor sometimes requires you to leave familiar territory. Abraham was told to leave his country, his people, and his father's household without being told the full destination in advance. Favor met him in obedience to an unclear instruction, not in the comfort of staying where things were familiar and predictable. The seventh hidden truth is that unanswered prayer is not always denied prayer. It is sometimes prayer that is still being processed through timing you cannot see. Zechariah prayed for a child for years, and by the time the angel appeared announcing the answer, Zechariah himself had grown so accustomed to disappointment that he doubted the very promise being spoken over him. The eighth hidden truth is that breakthrough often requires releasing control of the method, even while holding firmly to faith in the outcome. Naaman, the commander seeking healing from leprosy, expected an elaborate ritual and was instead instructed simply to wash in a river 7 times, an instruction so simple it initially offended him. His healing came only after he surrendered his expectation of how the miracle should arrive. The ninth hidden truth is that God's protection sometimes looks like redirection rather than rescue. Joseph, Mary's husband, was warned in a dream to flee to Egypt rather than remain and confront danger directly. Sometimes protection is not a dramatic intervention in the middle of danger, but a quiet instruction to change direction before danger ever arrives. The 10th hidden truth is that every one of these promises, protection, favor, and breakthrough, flows from relationship, not formula. There is no verse, no prayer, no ritual that mechanically guarantees these outcomes apart from a genuine ongoing relationship with God. These are not spiritual transactions. They are the natural overflow of walking closely with the one who offers them freely to those who seek him. Many believers misunderstand these truths, assuming that if enough correct words are spoken or enough faith is displayed publicly, Outcomes are guaranteed on a fixed timeline. But Scripture consistently shows relationship, humility, and patient trust as the actual soil from which protection, favor, and breakthrough grow, not performance or formula. Now, having uncovered these deeper truths, let us turn to what this means for how you actually live out this day. Because revelation without application remains simply information, and God calls us not just to know these truths, but to walk in them. Begin this day with a specific declaration, spoken aloud if possible, naming exactly what you are trusting God for. Speaking your faith aloud is not superstition. It is a biblical pattern, echoed throughout Scripture, where words carry weight, where declarations align the heart with the promise being sought. Throughout the day, when anxiety rises, return your mind deliberately to the truth that His mercies are new, that today does not have to mirror yesterday. This is not about ignoring real problems. It is about refusing to let past disappointment dictate present expectation. When you encounter a situation requiring favor, whether a conversation with a supervisor, a difficult family interaction, or an unexpected opportunity, pause internally and remember that favor does not depend on your performance being flawless. It depends on the hand of God being upon you, working even in moments where you feel unprepared or inadequate. When breakthrough feels distant, choose one small act of faith today, one step of reaching rather than waiting. This might be a phone call you have been avoiding, an application you have been putting off, a conversation you have delayed out of fear. Faith that reaches, even imperfectly, positions you closer to breakthrough than faith that only waits. Let me share with you a story, one that has moved many who have heard it, of a woman who found herself standing at the edge of everything she had built, watching it seem to collapse in a single season. Her health had failed unexpectedly, her finances had crumbled under the weight of that same illness, and the people she once depended on had grown distant, uncertain how to support a burden that heavy. One night, in complete exhaustion, she cried out not with polished words but with raw honesty, asking God if He still saw her, if she still mattered, if there was still a future waiting for her beyond this collapse. In the stillness of that night, she described a peace settling over her that she could not explain, a sense that she was being carried even in a moment when she felt she had nothing left to carry herself. In the months that followed, doors began opening that she had never anticipated, connections forming from unexpected places, resources arriving through channels she had never imagined. She often said afterward that heaven had not been silent during her hardest season. It had been working quietly, assembling pieces she could not yet see, preparing a breakthrough that would only make sense in hindsight. Her story reflects the same pattern woven throughout Scripture, that the darkest seasons are rarely wasted seasons, that God's hand remains active even in silence, and that today, whatever collapse or exhaustion you may be facing, could be the beginning of a similar turning point, one you will only fully understand when you look back on it later. Persevering through trials, then, is not about pretending difficulty does not exist. It is about holding firmly to the truth that difficulty is not the final word, that Scripture's promises of protection, favor, and breakthrough remain active even in seasons that look nothing like victory yet. As we come to the close of this time together, let us hold firmly to what has been spoken this morning. Protection is not the absence of storms, but the presence of God within them. Favor often grows quietly before it is seen publicly. Breakthrough frequently follows seasons that look like the opposite of progress, and every one of these promises flows not from formula, but from relationship with the one who offers them freely. Let this be your declaration as you step into the rest of this day. I am covered, I am favored, and my breakthrough is coming, even if I cannot yet see it. Let this truth settle into your spirit, not as wishful thinking, but as confidence rooted in a God whose character has proven faithful across every generation recorded in Scripture. Before you go, take a moment to reflect on what stirred you most this morning and share it in the comments so that someone else, scrolling in their own moment of need, might find encouragement through your words. If this message strengthened you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you have not yet subscribed, join this growing family of believers who choose to begin each day anchored in truth rather than anxiety. Go now into this day, covered, favored, and expectant, trusting that the same God who closed the mouths of lions, who elevated a forgotten prisoner to a palace, and who healed after 12 long years of waiting, is still writing your story, one faithful morning at a time.